everyone, good evening. Hope everyone is well. Welcome to another Wildflower Talks, your Wednesday night live, serving up a bit of midweek motivation, and boy, do we have someone motivational on this evening. I am super excited to have Anna Louise on tonight to talk all things weight loss, maintenance. It's going to be really, really exciting. So what I will say to start us off is if you do have any questions, please do put them down in the question section down below. So it's the little speech bubble with the question mark in. Pop in there, pop your questions, and me and Anna Louise will answer them throughout the live. But I'm just going to invite her in. Oh, thank you. See where she is. Hi, love.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, my lovely. How are you?
I am great, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you fine. How's your evening been? I know you've been super busy, so I'm so grateful that you've come on.
That's all right. No, it's been looking forward to it for ages. No, it's lovely to finally be chatting to you after all this time, I think. Yeah.
I know because we kind of we've both done our journeys at pretty much the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I saw you when you started your journey, and then you popped back up like a completely different person. I was like, where has this girl been this whole time?
Yeah, she's just been busy losing weight and focusing on herself and making herself proud. I don't know.
Love it, love it. So, do you want to take us back and just give us a little synopsis of who Anna Louise is, what brought you to kind of where you are now with the plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm Anna Louise. Hi. I am 27, and for as long as I can remember, even since I think maybe early teens, I've always struggled with my weight. I was always the bigger girl, always had, very slim friends, always felt very insecure about myself and how I came across, and my confidence and self-esteem levels were completely shattered. Like, I was not really the person that I should have been. Um, and I never really
Because just
listened.
remind us,
Yeah.
are you 27 now, 28?
27 now, yeah.
27. So that was
Yeah.
a long time then that you kind of spent being overweight. It's not something that you've just suddenly have had happen over the last couple of years, for example. I've just
No.
seen your mum's joined in as well. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen. No, she's just in the other room. So,
Oh.
um, but yeah, no, it's something I've struggled with for a very, very long time, and I was not proud of myself. I, always wished I was better. I always wished I was slimmer. I always wished I was more active. Um, and it got to the point where I would join all these different diets and different plans. Like I've tried every diet out there, got every t-shirt going, and nothing. I would never stick to it. And it wasn't that the plans didn't work for me; it's that I didn't let them work for long enough, and I never gave it a chance, and nothing ever clicked. And then, yeah, I think lockdown. We often said like lockdown wasn't kind to us, but actually, I don't think we were kind to ourselves during lockdown. I don't know if you can relate
So
to that one.
true.
Um,
Oh my God, yeah. Like obviously we had Poppy in lockdown,
yeah,
but actually
yeah,
you're so right. It was probably the one time we should have really looked after ourselves. But
yeah,
I think like a lot of people and kind of touching on what you said for you and your mum, we just, oh God, did we comfort eat? We just turned to the food and we kind of made it an accepted thing because we were like, yeah, we were all at home. There was all
yeah,
these small businesses popping up on Instagram and Facebook, and you were like, you've got to support the local brownie maker and the
yeah,
local like
absolutely. It was
burger
all like
place.
cake making as well, wasn't it? All like brownies and cake making as well.
Like,
Yeah,
what else were you going to post if you weren't making a banana bread?
goodness knows, crazy. Um,
So you'd gone through it. So the first lockdown, you didn't do the plan, did you? That it
no,
was it the second, third, fourth, fifth lockdown?
how long we got? I don't know. Yeah, so it wasn't until March 2021 that we actually decided to do something about it. And, boy, did we wish that we did it the year before. It was just one of those ones that I think you have to be in the right place at the right time. Everything has to be right for you mentally, emotionally, financially as well. Like it has to be right for you. And no one else, no matter what people say to you, and there have been a lot of negative comments said to me and about me over my life, and my mum as well. She'd had it from strangers, from people we'd known, family members.
Oh.
It was crazy because people can say whatever they want. But until we decided to actually make a change, nothing happened and nothing would happen. So,
Yeah, you're so right. We always say, don't we, as consultants to
mm,
slimmers, I can hold your hand, I can support you, but it's you who's on that journey. It's you
yeah,
who's about to embark on that, journey for yourself. And I'd love to be able to do the plan for you, but unless your head's in the right place, nothing I say or do is actually going to make you lose
yeah.
weight. We're not magicians
I've
or
literally
fairy
been saying,
godmothers.
yeah, I've literally been saying this evening to some new slimmers that we were chatting to, you're the driver of this. You're the driver of your
Mm.
own success. We can guide you and support you. However, you have to make the decision to actively do this. You have to make the sacrifices. You have to put in the hard work. Otherwise, where will you be? And that's essentially what happened. Our lovely consultant, Nell, I think she sensed a bit of desperation and a bit of like, we know where we fall down. We need some support. We need you to basically show us the way. And she did. She came over on Mother's Day. Bear in mind, she has 3 children of her own. Um, and she dropped off our products just outside here in the little courtyard out here. And we took our photos, and it was the lowest we'd felt on Mother's Day. And we were just about to tuck into a mighty roast, as I like to final her out. And we started the next day, and we never really looked back. And
Oh, oh, I don't know if the signal went a little bit. We're fine, guys. A little bit of technical difficulty. We'll take that. There we go. I think you're back.
do you know what it was? It's because I was playing that song in the gym earlier, and I have these headphones in, so it was just playing that. I'm so sorry. That is totally on me. It's
That's all
gone
right.
now.
Get us pumped for the gym if you're
Yeah,
listening on the podcast, guys.
yeah, that's what's happening. But yeah, I've now lost 8 stone in 34 weeks, and Karen has lost an amazing 9 stone in 34 weeks.
That is
Um, and
amazing.
we did that
And so
on
you both you started in the March last year. So that is not even in a year.
no,
You have both, you've lost each of you a person.
yeah, we've lost over 17 stone in about 8.5 months.
I thought me and Jamie had done well with like 16 stone, but you've blown us out the water with that one.
Stop it. Your achievements are incredible. And I think everyone who's watching this and everyone who follows you, everyone's stories are so different, but you're an example of your own. Like, it's incredible. And you helped me on my journey so much. I remember actually watching one of the first videos I watched of you. I think it was you got quite emotional during it. It was when you were
Oh,
still quite
standard.
early on, yeah. No, it was actually a really teary one, and I think you'd made like a big
Oh.
milestone. Can't remember quite what it was,
Oh,
but
it's probably my 5 stone. I remember getting quite
it could have
emotional on my
been.
5 stone video
Yeah,
because I was like, oh my God, I could actually do this here.
yeah.
Like,
But
did
then
you have
look
a
at us.
moment with that? Because you said that you and your mum had kind of done plans before. So, kind of
Yeah,
before we get to whether you had like moments on the plan that you had as real poignant, like, we're going to do this,
yeah.
you said that you both got to a place where you were like, we have to do that. What was the driver for that? Was that did one of you approach the other and kind of say, look, I really think we should do this? How was it that you even chose the one-to-one plan?
So actually, um, one of my sister's very close friends, was actually the Woman of the Year a couple of years ago, Lizzie Steen.
Wow.
And so we'd seen her weight loss, and my mum was going to work, and she just messaged me, and because I was having a very, very bad time at work, I decided to resign. I was bullied so badly from work, so I decided to leave,
Oh,
and I was actually unemployed from about May. And she went off to her part-time job, and she said, just look into it, just have a look. I've heard about it. We'd done other very similar meal replacement diets in the past, and every slimming group out there. But she said, just have a look and find out. And so I contacted a bunch of consultants in the area and found our consultant, and that's how we found out about it. And we didn't really know what it entailed. We didn't know about the steps. We didn't know how flexible it was. We'd only done the type of diet like this. It was
like
just meal
shakes and kind of
replacement. It
soup.
literally was just
Yeah.
shakes, yeah. Occasionally soups. And my mum actually did that a long, long time ago, and she dropped a huge amount of weight but it just, that the day that she got to her goal was the last time she saw it. And it's because she didn't have that support. And that's where I think this really sets things apart. And we didn't realize, quite how impactful having that consultant and that support next to you did.
Well, especially with now, like she is
Yeah,
a phenomenal consultant. And
she
just
is.
to shout out, now is so knowledgeable. And she also has a little YouTube channel with the lovely
She does.
Heidi.
Yeah,
And it's definitely something that you should go and watch and hear about Now's journey, because I think she in herself, I can imagine, was a huge inspiration to you and your mum, because she's lost, what, over 7 stone, I think.
yeah, yeah, she
So
has.
she's really been there, got the t-shirt, and that's the same with a lot of consultants. Not every consultant will have been on that journey, but
No.
I I know that I get a lot of slimmers with larger weight loss journeys because of
Yes.
my own
Yes.
journey, and that can be very inspiring.
It's being able to have that person, and this is nothing to do with your achievements, whether you've lost 1 stone, a few stone, or like us, 8, 9, 9.5 for you. Like, it's
People,
it's finding that
literally,
person.
literally losing people over here, Anna.
Literally
Like,
losing people. Like, how crazy is this? And the fact that this plan can give you that opportunity and offers such variety, and that support is just, it's mind-blowing. And you don't ever think it's ever going to be you, because you're sat there and thinking, well, I failed at everything else, why would this work for me? I'm sure you had lots of your inner demons battling with you. Just even, I don't think I'm going to get through the first week of this, let alone
oh my
get
God, I
through
didn't know if
eight
I
and
was
a
get through
half
the
months.
first day. I
Yeah,
remember the first day making that mixed berry porridge, my first porridge, and being like, and it wasn't my first rodeo. I was like, right, okay, you know what you're getting into here, girl.
yeah,
I was like, I can do the maths, a stone a month. I got about 9, 10 months of this.
yeah.
Like, let's go, let's try. But I'm sure, like you said with yourself, you probably started that first day thinking, is it going to be the same as all the other times? Like, is this time going to work? I think everyone thinks when you go onto a diet, you're always really optimistic and that you're always really positive in the beginning. But I actually think if you've been someone who's been such a yo-yo dieter or tried so many plans before,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you always have that initial optimism when you start a diet, because you
You're
kind of know that your track record is that it doesn't always go that well.
Yeah, it's pretty shoddy up until now, and yeah, you're just like, well, yeah, right, this is actually going to work, isn't it? It's, and you're battling with yourself at the end of the day. No one else is telling you can't do that. What are you talking about? You can't do that. Like, it's nothing. Um, but if you
But
put your
how
mind
good do you
to it,
feel when it's first, that first night when I got into bed, I was like, I did it.
yeah,
I'm not dead.
yeah,
And I've survived.
absolutely. And
And
we've got so many slimmers now that are joining us that have overcome things that we never did in our first 8 months. Well, 6 months for me. We completely withdrew ourselves. But in their first week, one of our slimmers, who I've just seen has joined this course, so this is a massive shout out to her, and I'm using her as an example. She had one of these obstacles come up, a social occasion, on day 5 of starting the plan. She was on Soul Source 1B, and she asked for our advice. She asked what she should have. She did everything right, and she still came out with an amazing 8 pound loss at the end of it, because she used the plan to her
wow.
advantage. She lived her life as she should. And it's like just leaning on that person that, many times, you would doubt yourself and be like, oh, it's fine, I'll just get back on it on Monday, and never probably get back to it. But it's all about the mindset that you're in. And I think if you're in the right place at the right time, and you're even curious about what this plan does, it's not just, it happens overnight, it happens very quickly, but you need to be 100% focused for this to work. And if you embrace it with open arms, then it's amazing, isn't it? Like, you're
Oh,
testament to that as well.
it is, it's incredible. And I think, Nat, yesterday when Nat and Sam did their live, Sam
Yeah,
asked Nat what was the biggest thing that surprised you with the plan, and Nat said just how quickly I changed, just how quickly that time went.
yeah,
And it is so true. When I think back, if I didn't have those videos to reflect back on, I would want to pinch myself that it even happened, because I
yeah,
would say the days are long. You get some weeks that go on for a decade, but actually the time flies by in the
yeah,
blink of an eye. You think in less than a year how much your life has changed. And
yeah,
when you started back in March, what was the reason why? I always say, Denai, to have a reason
yeah,
why. What was your reason for doing this? What drove you on those difficult days that you had?
yeah. So I would definitely say a top tip is to write it down. So we decided that we were just going to open up a little note on our phone and write what we were feeling on the night before we started.
Love
And
that.
what can't you do now? What do you want to be able to do? For me, it was, I my weight was quite bad to the point I was over 18 stone. I was 18 stone 2 when I started, and
And
I
how
was
tall are you, Hen?
I'm 5'5", so my BMI was sort of in the sort of mid to late 40s.
Yeah,
Um,
mine was the same.
yeah, and I was in events at the time. I was an event manager, and so I was doing lots of walking around, and I was very much up on my feet. And my leg used to get really numb. My right leg used to like die on me, like midway through, like even just standing up for like 20 minutes. But I think ultimately I had no confidence, no self-esteem. I was always the butt of a joke. I was always sat with my friends being ignored by other people. And I think my inner insecurities like made me behave in a certain way that probably wasn't, what I deserved to do. And I didn't do
Mm.
myself any justice with that. And I was, I didn't put myself out there. Like, obviously, you've got the amazing Jamie, but like, for us singletons out here, like, I didn't want to put myself out there. I didn't want to do anything. I was like, I just want someone to find me attractive and to be confident in my own skin and just live the life that I've always wanted to. And I wasn't giving that to myself, and I wasn't kind enough to myself, I think. And I think ultimately, I just needed something to change. And I think I mean, you've documented everything. I wish I'd documented more, like on video and stuff when I started. Um, but just the way I talked to myself and talked about myself, I would always make a joke out of myself before so no one else would.
Yeah, that
Um,
Barry, I was going to say it's funny. I think when you're overweight, I definitely felt like you'd be in a social situation and I would feel acutely aware that I was the biggest person there because I was
yeah,
obviously the biggest girl in all my friends.
yeah,
So you would feel like you had almost a spotlight on you because you were you felt the biggest and yet
yeah,
simultaneously felt completely invisible.
yeah,
Like I felt like I was never presenting Rachel. I was presenting this almost caricature of someone who had to defend herself before anyone even made a comment or,
yeah,
like you say, made a snide joke. And those things are always worse if you go out for like a drink or something, people's inhibitions drop down, and then someone says something that's probably not intended to be hurtful, but ultimately will be.
yeah,
Um, and being able to actually just present as yourself, authentically you,
yeah.
is the most liberating thing in the world. And I think you can see in you. I was watching through your reels earlier on, which, I mean, can we just say this girl is literally a viral Instagram sensation? They're amazing. But you can so see there's one particular reel where, I mean, it's probably not the most flattering video footage of you at Christmas in like a Santa Claus outfit. And you
Beautiful.
can just, it's stunning. It literally is beautiful. But you can see even in your face. And I think as someone who used to do that, you can see how even though you're smiling, you're not happy.
No.
And then when you look at you now, you just radiate happiness. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful to see.
Oh, thank you. I think it's taken a while, and I definitely think it's taken a while for my brain to catch up with my body since the massive transformation like I've had. Um,
Definitely.
but I think, yeah, I'm glad I took that. That was for a work thing. That was for a
I
work
mean,
Christmas video,
I didn't want to ask why you were dressed up like Santa. I mean,
like a plonker. Yeah. Um,
hey, it made good content.
it did make good content. But yeah, I had to make this video for like a Christmas video, because we were all remote working at the time. And it was a way to bring everyone together. And I actually said, with 2 bottles of wine in my hands, it's obviously not got any audio behind it. I said, family time and lots of wine or something like this. And that was literally the most cringy thing I think I'd ever said. And I was like, I said to my mum, can you film this for this thing? And it was just the most pathetic thing ever, because you're right. I was smiling, but there was no happiness. Like, my cheeks were so big that you could barely see my eyes, and like I just looked really uncomfortable, and I felt uncomfortable and lethargic and just really crap, to be honest. Like, there's
That's when
no treading around it. Like, if you're not feeling as you're supposed to, um, and I'm sure you can also relate, and a lot of people watching this can also relate, saying, you know, next time, next Christmas, I'll feel different. Next holiday, I'll feel different.
Mm.
Next birthday, I'll be able to wear an amazing outfit and look absolutely banging in it. My new goal is to wear a bikini and not have to cover myself up. Like that's my next
I
goal.
can't wait for this reel. I can see it already.
Oh my
I'll be
gosh.
joining you. Once I've had this surgery now, that's it. My belly will be out non-stop, a
Well,
pen and a threat.
let's just go away together, shall we? We'll just go out and just like we'll do Baywatch. Shall we do Baywatch?
Yes,
Yeah,
get us in a red bikini.
yeah.
But it's true, and it's good that we like. I find now I was always quite goal oriented.
Mm,
Ironically, not so much successfully with my weight, career wise, you know,
mm.
everything else. Very goal oriented. But now it's almost as though once you start achieving things, you get this drive to want to just keep going. And I think I used to mention in some of my earlier videos about how you don't start this plan with self-belief. You don't start this plan thinking that you will do it, but that grows every week with every loss, with every milestone, with every bit of like
Yeah.
success you get. That self-belief grows and grows. And did you find that for yourself when you were on plan, that you kind of, did you have a moment where you were like, I'm going to do this is going to happen, where that kind of self-belief really kicked in?
So when we started the plan, we said to Nell, here's our trigger points. When you get to about 2, 3 weeks of us doing this, we'll probably get that far. Message us maybe slightly more. If we disappear, come, you know where we live. Like, we'll probably fall off because
That's
that was
so
our
good that
normal
you were
trigger point.
very
Yeah.
honest with her, saying, this is what I need from you.
Yeah. And I think that was actually one thing that I think really resonated with me that Nell identified that as well. Like the fact that you know where your downfalls are. I think the more accountable you are to yourself, the more transparent and honest you are about things, know your downfalls, then you know we can work with that. If you're just living in denial, you know, no one who has any sort of other addiction problem or anything like that, any sort of problem, you know, unless they admit that they need help or admit where they fall short, and it's different for everyone, what is actually going to change? Nothing. So I literally laid it all out on the table. My mum is still at work at this point, and I'd literally like spilled my guts out to Nell, bless her. Um, and she still came around, and it was when we got to that 3, 4 week point, and we suddenly realized, oh my gosh, we've actually done, like, we actually are better and stronger than we think. And the losses, of course, like keep you going. And, you know, the losses, the motivation, the wanting to put makeup on again, like, and what you were just saying about, you know, when you start seeing positive change, and I say it all the time on my stories, you're in such a negative spiral before you start this plan, I think, because a lot of us let our weight hold us back. And when you
Mm-hmm.
hear, um, you know, all these negative things in your own head, not necessarily other people saying it to you, but you're in this negative spiral, and it just takes a couple of positive things, maybe even just one, to make you want to be better and do better and get out of that negative spiral, go into that more positive side of things, and really recognize your own achievements. And I think that first sort of like 3, 4 weeks was where we sort of realized that actually, yes, we can do this. We have no intention of falling off plan. We are either the best or the worst influences on each other. And since this plan, we've been nothing but the best cheerleaders for each other and keeping us going. You know, those old saboteurs from the past, like, you know, even just looking at each other, not even verbalizing it, being like, "Oh, for dinner?"
Oh,
Like,
me and
you know,
Jamie, it'd be like you could feel it in the air. I'd be
yeah.
like, if he doesn't ask me in a minute if I want a takeaway, I'm not
I
going to be
know.
happy.
It was
But you're right.
crazy.
Like this is it when you do plan together. And obviously, I had Chloe and Gabs on the other week, and they sisters that did it together. And I
Yeah,
always love it when people do the plan together. I think that relationship's really interesting.
yeah,
And as a consultant, I love seeing like partners or you know siblings or friends do it
yeah,
together because I just find it fascinating how their relationships evolve whenever they're on plan. And me and Jamie, like you and your mum, we could big each other up, but my God, could we bring each other down
yeah,
like that as well?
yeah.
And sabotage each other. You know, we would do that, like your mum and you would do a plan for 2 weeks, and then one of us would have a difficult day, and instead of being like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea, we would sabotage each other. And actually, what we had to learn to do was have awkward conversations and be like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like I remember the other week we were lying in bed and he came in and he had like some Irish cream bites, which is standard in this house in bed. That's how excitement gets in this bedroom. And
Woohoo.
then he had like something else and then something else. And I was like, is everything okay? Because I was like, that's just not what you would normally
Mm,
do. And I kind of will call each other out a little bit now, but from a
yeah,
caring place of being like, I think something might be wrong, and that's why maybe you're acting in this way.
yeah,
Whereas before, we would have encouraged that behaviour with each other. So actually, we never helped each other through difficult times. We just sabotaged each other to feeling more rubbish.
yeah. And you're not cheating anyone but yourself. And I think there was also, I've literally said all of this to a new slimmer today, like, you know, because we were doing it together, obviously, the secret eater in us comes out every now and again. But I think there was a part of
Oh,
us
yeah.
back in the day, like in our past before this, where because we weren't doing it alone and we were doing it together, it wasn't technically secret eating. Do you know what I mean? And it was like no
Yeah,
one
you
else would
kind of
know except
absolved
whoever.
each other of that guilt.
Exactly. It was sort of like we were both accountable to each other, but it was like, well, no one else would really know. Like we know each, it's not like we've gone into the tub of heroes at Christmas and just tried to hide all the wrappers in the bin at the bottom and stuff. It's those sorts of
Mm.
little things, or eating the biscuits or whatever. Um, so yeah, it's finding out where our downfalls are. I think it's so as like an overarching thing, and I know hers, she knows mine. Claire and Amanda have done it together. So many people. I think when you've got that support, we've actually now got a dream team who are all colleagues at work, and
Oh,
they
I
all at
love
different
that.
stages. So first Slimmer got on board, and she said, my colleagues really, bring in the biscuits and all the bad stuff, and they always try to take me off plan. And then another one of her colleagues joined, um, and then another one has just requested to join as well. So now we're going to do it together. Like there's going to be the five of us like chatting on a group chat and stuff, and we've got another mother and daughter duo doing it as well.
Oh, I
And
love
it's
that.
that camaraderie, and it's the support that you get from friends, family, those who just know about it, and just having that acceptance that yes, this is my choice, I am doing this, it's doing that, I'm doing the best for myself that I possibly can. So let's just get on with it. um
Did you find having your mum on plan with you and kind of being that duo from the beginning helped with other people's opinion of what you were doing? Did you face any kind of negative comments from other people in your family or within like your social
Ugh,
circle?
yeah. um Gosh. Yeah, I have people close to me who have said things. I've talked about it in the past. I have people. Oh, I've talked about it already. I can say it again. My dad, for example, basically was always wanting me to be the better version of myself, and but would say it in a very indelicate way. Let's just say,
Mm.
even when I was losing weight, it still wasn't good enough, and I should do something more or do something different. Or, it's when you hear it enough, you start to believe it. And
Especially when it's from somebody so
yeah,
close. I think whenever we hear comments like that from family, and the thing is, your parents, your siblings, they're the ones who will say stuff to you and it will cut you in half.
yeah,
And those are the things that, like you say, they stick with you. They don't go away. Some random person or maybe like even a colleague or something, you can let those things slide. But it is
yeah.
hard when it's from family and
It
friends.
is, and it got to the point where it had been for so many years, and it was almost like I had to go to the next thing. I had to be the next. I had to do the next best thing for myself. It was all very passive aggressive. It was always from a good place. I always knew that it was always from a good place. But sometimes people don't quite understand the burden that you feel on yourself and the opinions that you already think of yourself. It's easy to make a passing comment, but you don't. I think I have always, before all of this, trying to find myself and be proud of myself for these different victories and achievements. I've always stood by treat people how you want to be treated, and I
Yeah.
think that is like an overarching theme that I go through in life. And when people don't treat you as you would like to be treated, you sit there and go, well, why? what what do you gain from doing this and saying these things? And I knew that it didn't come from a place of malice or like complete criticism or trying to bring me down. It was only to try and make me better. But as I said before, unless you decide to make the change and you decide that I'm going to be the driver of this and nothing's going to stop me, then nothing is going to change. And I had to
That's
actually
it.
speak to him. I stayed with him in August, um, for a weekend, and I spoke to him frankly about it, and I just said, some of the things you've said, have come across in quite a hurtful way. I don't think you intended to, but I think it's just having that sort of honest conversation, especially with family and friends, those that you want to keep around. Um,
It's finding your voice again, isn't it?
oh
I
my
think
gosh,
whenever
yes,
you suffered with your weight, you feel like you lose the right to kind of speak up and have a voice.
yeah.
And actually, a lot of this for me was finding that voice again. It was finding the ability to say no. I realized
Oh my
before
gosh,
how many
yeah.
times I didn't say no to things I didn't want to do. I just went and I did them. And
People
now
pleaser
I'll be
number
like,
one over
oh,
here.
yeah.
Mm,
People pleasing perfectionists are generally the people that I find struggle with their weight. And
yeah,
I'm in that category.
yeah.
And trying to work on that is really hard and makes you feel really awkward. But it's only when you say no to things and put yourself first that you move forward and make progress with it. Now, I'll happily say to someone, no, I don't want that, thank you.
I
Or
absolutely agree.
like, I mean, like, no, you can keep that. I
No,
don't want that. Thank you very much.
no,
Nor in my mother-in-law when she's offering magnums or like Jamie's favourite turkey diners. I'm like, the boy's 36. You don't need turkey diners anymore.
he wants to. No, he did in the past. No, now not anymore.
No, no, he still does. But calorie controlled, portioned, it's
Of
fine.
course, yeah. It's it's a tricky one, and I think at the end of the day, if you can look back and say, I've done something that has made me proud, I say religiously every single day, if you do something, whatever, I know you say this as well, do one thing today to make,
Yeah.
to make a difference, to go towards a step in the right direction. My thing, I had it on my screensaver for the longest time until just after I got to goal. There was a screensaver that said, 3 months from now, you'll thank yourself. And you need to look back and think, in 3 months, will I thank myself? And yeah, I think I do now. And those who meet me now, because I've distanced myself from a lot of people that brought a lot of toxicity to my life, to be honest.
Mm.
Um, and I think I'm much less of a people pleaser. Obviously, I still like people to like me because it's fun, and nice.
I mean, it's quite nice to be
It's nice to
liked.
have
Like, I
friends,
do want people to like me.
Yeah.
But
I said
it's
like
when
I
it's like toxic, like you
yeah,
said. It's when it kind of
yeah,
blurs the lines of actually where are your barriers,
yeah,
where's your boundaries, and you kind of put the needs of others above and beyond your needs. And I think it's the old thing, isn't
absolutely.
it? Your oxygen mask before other people's oxygen masks.
Yes,
The only people's oxygen masks I'm putting on first is Poppy's. Other than that,
yes,
I'm number two,
yeah,
and that's what you really have to think of.
yeah.
So when you did plan, kind of taking it back a little bit, because like we've got to had a couple of questions about, everyone always wants to know, what step did you do?
Oh yeah.
How did you do it? How did you lose it? And I obviously always say I did 1B, very boring, 4 products a day, lived my best life. I hate cooking. Um, but you, my darling, are an actual Nigella in the kitchen. You and Karen have rustled up some incredible dishes. So you did step 2 for the whole of your journey, is that right?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh,
We did step 1B for the first 12 weeks because we said if we can't do it on step 1B, we just need to withdraw from food completely. We
yeah.
said our relationship with food is so toxic right now. We need to get out of this cycle and this funk, and we need to do something to just lift ourselves and just take away the drama. We cleared the fridge, we cleared the cupboards, we got rid of the wine, we filled up the wine rack here um, with
Love
coffee
it.
capsules for the Nespresso machine. And we got our heads down and we did it because that's at the time that's what we needed. It's not the same for
The
everyone.
breakup.
Yeah, you just
Always
need
say it. It's like the
breakup.
breakup from the crappy boyfriend you had when you were a
Yeah.
teenager that snogged the girl behind the bike sheds. Like, you need to break up, you need to block him on MySpace, I'm showing my age now,
Yeah.
and just be gone and have that space. And I think, as someone like you mentioned earlier, who has maybe an issue with food, this is the nearest you're going to get from an abstinence style
Yeah.
treatment, if you like.
Absolutely. It's a complete detox, complete restart, refresh. And so, yes, we were on 1B, so 4 products a day. Um, Karen very much found what she liked, stuck to it. She had all the sweet products. I decided to try some of the savories and I switched it up quite a bit. So that was two different things. We did it together, but we have our tray sat here even now, with our allotment of products for the week. A lot of fruit and nut
Love
bars, by
this.
the way. They have changed the game.
They're dangerous.
They're very dangerous. They actually
Dangerous,
feel so
dangerous.
naughty, but they're so nice.
They are so good. I've
It's
only had
good.
one today. I'm making progress.
Ah, well done.
I can't say
Congratulations.
I'm not going to have one after this live. I can't promise.
Yeah,
But they are delightful.
it's gonna be dessert later for sure. Um, but yes, so we did that for 12 weeks, and we were terrified about stepping up to 1B, to step two, sorry. So after 12 weeks, for anyone who
A
doesn't
lot
know,
of
we have
people,
to step up. Yeah. And I
yeah, a
actually
lot of
sent
people
you a
worry
voice
about
note.
this.
Yeah, I actually sent you a voice note. I don't know if you remember, way back
I
when.
do. Do you know what? I went back because I also saw Karen's lovely message when we had the Sliver Awards. So thank you, Karen. I
Oh,
always go back to them today. And I find it hilarious because you've reached out to the person
who
who
doesn't like
absolutely
cooking?
hates cooking.
I remember you giving me advice about adding like maybe some prawns or some chicken and vegetables to like your meals, your savory meals and
That's
stuff.
how I
Yeah,
did it because I couldn't come up with anything exciting with food on its own. And I'll be completely frank, to me, step two, I was like, it's a lot of effort in my head as someone who doesn't like cooking. It's very important. I preface that because it
yeah.
actually isn't a lot of effort. But to like weigh and
Oh,
measure the food, and then I was like, that's all I get. So for me, I found it just felt more fulfilling that I would
yeah,
add the protein and the veg. And also I'm vegetarian, and like plain corn chicken pieces or tofu was just like,
yeah.
nah, I'll add that
I
to the
saw
chicken tikka,
I saw
thank you.
many an omelette on your story.
Omelette and prawns in a chicken tikka curry was what I did.
Prawns and a chicken tikka curry, love it. Yeah, so you find your favorites, and I remember you saying to me, that you did step two before and you absolutely hated it, and then when you got to week 23, 24, whatever, the second
Yeah,
batch anyway, you then started to embrace it and enjoy it, and that's when you actually started cooking and stuff. But I've always loved
use that
cooking.
term very loosely.
Okay, we won't go into more detail on that one.
No.
But yeah, so it's got to the point where I loved cooking, and I will hold my hands up and admit a guilty pleasure is watching MasterChef and MasterChef Australia. If anyone has had a look on Amazon Prime, it's got a lot of episodes per season, and I reckon during lockdown we probably watched over about
I'm fond
600
of
episodes.
MasterChef. Do you
Yeah,
know when I really got into MasterChef? Very random tangent, but I'd never watched it before. And then after I had Poppy in hospital, I went on to because we were in hospital for 4 days and it was lockdown, so Jamie couldn't be there. It was literally us on our
yeah.
own. And so I went on to iPlayer and just looked for the thing that had the most episodes. And I had MasterChef on
Jesus.
continuously for 4 days.
I mean, it will keep you occupied. We watched just over 700 episodes, I think, 600 to 700 episodes of MasterChef Australia, not even the other ones during
Oh,
lockdown.
that's mad.
And
But hey, it gave you something to do.
it gave
And
me,
and I think that, like you were saying a minute ago, sorry to kind of cut back over you, but for people that are stepping up, I was very fearful to begin with, and I know you said that you were nervous about it
yeah,
as well. And I think it's not the step, but it is one of my slimmers, Jenna, has just put on here. I didn't want to say because I didn't know whether she would want anyone to know, but her wife was a MasterChef quarter finalist in 2020.
oh, goals.
So
That's
you're
amazing.
I know. I said, can you imagine having them cooking for you? But
Oh,
yeah, I was stepping up is nervous, but I think it's more just about trusting yourself around food,
yeah,
not the step being complicated and frying your head. It's more
absolutely.
about, am I going to have that little bit of chicken or that little bit of veg? And am I then going to go on to just eat and order a kebab? Like, have I disconnected that kind of, that side of my brain that just goes to the extreme, and am I now going to fall off the plan because you've had
Yeah,
the security of the products for so long? So how did you, I know obviously you've said about reaching out and getting advice from other people that have done it. I think that's a brilliant tip, to speak to those that have been through it before you. I
yeah.
think I messaged Gemma every second of every day in the week before I stepped up. I was like, you're the step two queen, help me.
Because it's
But other
daunting. It's
than,
a big thing, isn't it? It's
so
daunting because you've
daunting.
been in the safety blanket and this comfort of 1B, and you've not had to think about this at all. So to try and normalize it in your head and be like, well, if I can have chicken, I could probably have a chicken curry, right? Like, but no, you
That's how
can't.
your head
Yeah.
works. It's so,
And we were terrified
but
of that, but it wasn't the case actually. We started using the mantra that actually you said again, because you have so many words of wisdom. You
I
said to
just talk
me,
crap.
yeah, no, you don't. On our voice notes, you said food is fuel, and I've carried that through with me ever since, and we still pass that on now, and it is true. And I mean, we are foodie people, so we love our big portions. So to see the
Mm.
small portions, I was doing lots of things to try and make that different because
You were so
it was,
good with this, Anna. Like when I used to, no, honestly, when I used to see your step two meals, I was like, how has she even thought of that? Because you made them proper meals,
yeah.
like really filling meals. So did you and your mum work together to come up with what you were going to cook? Did one of you kind of take the lead on that in kind of preparing that food?
Yeah, so my mum has always been the cook, but I think because of my love for it, I sort of naturally took the role to be house chef. And that was with step two and step three, and now, it's always been that way. Um, and that's, she takes all the nice photos and then I post them. But she's a very good photographer. But no, we always checked in just to make sure that we were fancying it. Because what are you gonna, if you don't fancy something, if you don't want it, if you're thinking, oh, I just really don't want, that's not going to keep you motivated, is it? So we
Mm.
always checked in. We did a meal plan because preparation is definitely key, especially when there's more factors to think about. And it was just a case of keeping it. We started being very experimental with it, using lots of herbs and spices, and I even did like a chili con carne version of step two and a stuffed portobello mushroom, and I tried to complicate it and tried to make it like we were having like a meal that we used to love. And then we decided
You were in
completely,
MasterChef secretly in your head in your kitchen, weren't you?
yeah, I was looking at the fridge like it was my own personal mystery box, being like, what can
Yeah.
I make today? um yeah. And then we just
But
decided we
that's
had,
good though, because it shows that you were getting excited about it. It
yeah,
was almost like you were using that as an opportunity to disconnect that emotional side of your brain with the food. But instead, we're looking at it almost from more of a, like just a practical perspective. That,
yeah.
like you said, that food is fuel. And I think that's really interesting that was a way in which you almost, like I said, rebuilt that relationship with food.
And it sort of is carried on through as well. It's taught us those tricks and tips. We know what we need to do in future. Otherwise, we're going to fall short and we're going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
what are we going to have tonight? And then that's always when bad choices come into play. So
100%.
yeah, it was one of those things that we really, really enjoyed. And I think also by being on step 1B, we also realized that we actually appreciated the simple things a lot more as well. By having that distance from conventional food for so long, to actually sit there and appreciate it for what it was, as fuel, rather than an indulgence or a comfort or a complete like shove it all in your mouth. Sit there and think about the food you're having, make it look yummy. Sit down at the table with a knife and fork, not sit on the sofa like we used to do and just watch TV and not even think about the food that we were eating. It was just those little steps that we were taking to make sure that we were building a healthier relationship with food, I think. And then that's sort of, we then stayed from week 13 when we stepped up. We were dead set on going back down to 1B. And we just decided that actually this might work for us. And yeah, we stayed on there from week 13 until week 34, until I got to goal. And Karen stayed on it. Um, and so I was doing that, and I was stepping up to step three, well, towards the end of the journey anyway. Um, and yeah, it's just sort of evolved from there, really. We've just learned, I guess, as much as we can in those steps. And we
Love
didn't think
that.
we would, because you think by restricting yourself so much that you're not going to, you're just going to withdraw from food completely. And then when you get back to, normality, I guess. I mean, if we go back to eating normally, of course I'm going to go back up to 18 stone. Like, that's silly. Like, my habits were not sustainable and they weren't healthy for me. Um, but I think those little steps in the right direction, and by learning to go up through those steps in a sustainable and gradual way as well, and finding your feet with it first, and then experimenting with it and having fun with it and enjoying the food that you're having. it sets you up in really good stead for the rest of your journey. And then that's what your consultant's there to help and guide you through it and give you suggestions, whether or not you're a cook or not, you know.
And me and Anna Louise give you both ends of the spectrum. So
We
you know,
do.
that's what's also really good, I think, is that you can find people on this platform that you can relate to for
Yeah.
different things as well. There'll be different bits in different people's story, and you know that's why I love doing these lives, because it means that we can hear different. And I take something from every single one. I'm like, oh, I never thought of it like that, or that's a really interesting tip. And I think you've been very similar to me in that you've done the steps quite gradually. You know, I typically, you know, people can get through the steps, you know, in anywhere from maybe 4 to 6 weeks. But for me, I probably was on step 3 on its own for 4 to 6 weeks because I really had to reestablish that relationship with food. Did you find that you were quite similar with that?
Yeah, I would definitely say again the accountability and like holding your hands up to what your downfalls are. I'd say step three, you know, there are those you can get lots of inspiration from. Um, and I was taking that inspiration, but I also had my own ideas, and I sort of had an idea of what I was looking out for and what I wanted to do with the food. Um, you know, having things that I fancied, but in a more controlled way. Um, and sort of adapting it as much as I could to fit the plan and also to make me feel like this is actually a way I could sustainably live for forevermore. Like, you know, so it was a very different learning curve. But I remember I was actually talking to Georgie because she was giving me tips about, you know, healthier swaps or lower calorie swaps. And she was like, you know, you can have Hellman's lighter than light mayonnaise instead of having Hellman's light, or things like switching different things out.
Mm.
And bread, for example, she was like, you know, you can have white bread, like you don't have to. And I said to her, and this is where I had to do a lot of learning. I think it was in the first week or so. I can't have bread in my house, Rachel. I can't have bread. Because bread is a vehicle for everything that can be spread on it, and Anna Louise cannot deal with bread. Um, just because it's a
I'm
gateway
like
to
that with
everything else that's bad.
biscuits.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know not to have biscuits unless they're for Poppy and
I
they're like maybe the
can.
little dino ones, the little, you know,
Yeah, I
yeah.
have to buy literally Kiddylicious, and they're extortionate. Can I just say, for any children's food company people, like it's £2.50 for like 5 little bags of biscuits. But I think, like you said, it's knowing your downfalls,
Yeah,
and it's the one thing that I have never brought back into the house since I started pan.
yeah.
Bread, I'm okay with. I can manage bread, but I think that is also having a toddler. They have to have toast all the time. It's a killer.
It's awful.
So you have to get over that quite quickly. But even at Christmas, I didn't have any shortbread. I
Yeah.
didn't have like I brought mince pies in very tentatively. I was like, am I going to be all right with a
So
mince
did
pie? I
we.
made it through.
And when you
Oh God,
said what
that
you
was
were
a
saying about the
nerve-wracking
mince pies,
24 hours.
honestly, when you were talking about the mince pies, I could so relate because like we used to buy mince pies, the heroes, like maybe 5, 6 times over because they're in the store, so why not go and buy them? And you know, it's
Well, you lied to
November, so
yourself.
why not? You know?
I was going to say, in November, you lied to yourself saying they were going in the Christmas cupboard.
Oh
And
yeah.
then by like the end of November, when you're on your third Christmas cupboard stock, like, but that was like it with everything. Everything was in excess, whether it was Christmas or whether, like now for
Yeah.
Easter, for example, me and Jamie would probably have easily had 10 Easter eggs before Easter. And we would have just told ourselves chocolate's different. It's nice. You don't need to
Yeah.
wait till Easter to have one. It's a good deal. Look how, like, what a good deal it is.
Yeah.
And it's that excess, but knowing now the things that we shouldn't, you know, we just
Yeah.
can't have in the house, unfortunately.
It
It's like an
is.
alcoholic can't have wine in the house because
No.
they got a problem with it.
But sadly, you know, even though we have a food addiction, or we had a food addiction, well, we still have a food addiction, I guess, because we're always going to have to battle those demons, and it's never going to get any easier. But it's, as you always say, like, and so many other people say, you know, it's dipping into that toolkit and finding what works for you, because there's not a one size fits all for everyone. You know, someone might
No,
be absolutely fine
so
eating
true.
bread and be able to stop at just one slice, or get a share a bag of giant buttons and only have a couple. That's never going to be
Really?
me, and I know that's never going to happen. So my step three now incorporates less of the refined carbohydrates. Um, and this has taken a while. Like it takes a while to sort of figure out what your balance is, because my balance and Karen's balance and your balance and Jamie's balance is so different.
Oh,
Um, so
100%.
now,
And also, it's knowing as well that there, like we were saying the other day, and Jade mentioned on stories, that there is no finish line here.
No.
It's really important that people understand that working at the steps is a different process, but it is a process.
Mm.
You have to go through it and learn these things. And it's if you commit yourself to them and you do like you've done, and you say, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to have those. Like, for example, I choose not to eat things like pasta. The only reason I choose not to eat them is because the amount you get for the calories is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
It's not fair at all. So I would rather eat more volume of food. Now, if I want to eat volume of food, I'm going to have to adapt the foods that I eat.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing against pasta. It's not that, oh, life's so unfair. It's just that I want to eat more food. So for that reason, I'm going to bypass the pasta and I'm going to have the cauliflower rice or the boodles or something like that instead.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
And it's
we now
accepting
stick
that,
with,
isn't it?
yeah, it is. And it is a hard lesson to learn because you're like, why can't I just deal with moderation? But there are some things you just can't have the choice to do. And that's something that we'll work with our slimmers to do as well. Like finding out what your triggers are. Now, our meals consist of one type of carbohydrate. Um,
Yeah, we're like
we
that.
found that pita breads are fine, but we won't then have that with a side of home cooked chips that we've made. We're now having celeriac chips instead of chips, potato. We know we're sticking to potato and rice rather than the more refined pastas, noodles, bread. Um, so we're trying to keep it as whole foody as possible. And we're really, really enjoying it. Like, we're getting variety, but again, we're checking in. And Karen's now doing step 3 with me. I'm doing step 4. We're having the same meals, but I'm having an extra meal after my gym session. So, because I'm training more now, and it's only a very, very new thing to my life, I'm wanting to put in good whole foods, but also using the nutrition, which, by the way, can I just say, I actually sent the nutritional information of the bars and the shakes that I have on a regular basis to my personal trainer that I start with next week. And he sent me a voice note saying, I'm actually really impressed with the nutritional value of all of these. Like I actually am really surprised that they put what they do in this because sometimes they just do it. So it's like protein, carbs, blah, 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 but not all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that we have in the products. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This could work.
Honestly,
I was really
when
impressed.
I was at the gym, they were also like quite impressed. But and they were like, whenever I said about what I do, they were like, "Well, you've been trained. You had training to do your job." I'm like, "Yeah, we have a lot of training to do our job because we're dealing with very complex scenarios at sometimes, and
People's lives
we're given exactly we're being entrusted with that journey for those for our slimmers, and
and what a
I think
privilege too.
absolutely. And,
Yeah.
I think it's really reassuring when you know how good the products are. And that's why whenever people say, oh, do you still eat the products? I'm like, yes, I would rather eat a fruit and nut bar than take a multivitamin. And a fruit
Yeah.
and nut bar has got so many nutrients. And what you'll typically find is if you start feeling a little bit like lethargic, a little bit rubbish on the higher steps, probably not getting the right nutrition.
No,
You've been so well nourished on those bottom steps. Your body has had everything it needs to be fully functioning into its like peak performance.
absolutely.
So actually, when you step up, that's exactly like you're saying. It takes time to figure out what's the right combinations of food. What do I need? And you've probably had more of an eye-opening experience with that being in the gym and looking at
Yeah.
how you need to incorporate things like proteins and things to help with your muscles. And was that something you always thought you were going to do? Is start exercising? I mean, maybe not 18 stone, but was there a point that you were like, yeah, I think that's probably going to be something I do on my journey?
So my relationship with exercise has been very conflicting over the years. Even though I was always struggling with my weight, I was always the bigger girl. I used to play for county netball, and I used to play in all the top teams at school for tennis, hockey, lacrosse, all that jazz, all of them, and I loved it, and I was really good at it. And I used to love the gym as well. And I didn't let my weight hold me back. I was sort of probably around the sort of 14, 15 stone mark. Everyone else was like a bean pole and looking like, all skinny in netball and stuff. And I didn't let it stop me, but I definitely know that my weight held me back. And then I think because I started letting it hold me back, I just stopped activity altogether. And the occasional walk would sometimes happen. Exercise had never been on my radar. During lockdown, before I started the plan, if anyone goes back through my grid when I was documenting all my other slimming journeys that, went a bit awry, I was doing home workouts and I was trying, but I think, and actually a friend of mine who I've met through this community, and she's lovely, and she was actually asking me today because she was having a problem, like a bit of a conflicting like opinion from two sides of her little devil and angel on her shoulder.
Mm.
And she asked me about my relationship with exercise and do I wish I'd done some during the plan, when I was actually losing weight. And I said no. I honestly no, because my mind was not in the right place to be able to do that. I don't think it was
Yeah.
ever something that when I set out on this journey, I was like, the goal here is to get back into netball, is to get back into going to the gym regularly. I had nothing like that in my head. My whys were all very much, health and, you know, having a healthier BMI, having a bit more confidence, more of the aesthetic side of things. My mum's journey, on the other hand, was, mobility related as well, like her
Mm.
breathing mobility, her reasons why were completely different, and her priorities are not to go to the gym. But she is so much more mobile than she used to be, to the point where,
I love that.
she had to sit down when she was waiting for the Nespresso to make a coffee. She's not afraid to admit that. Her mobility and her weight held her back so much. And so for those of you who are thinking, oh gosh, I don't want to have to go and do exercise, you don't have to at all. This plan gives
Well,
you
neither of
everything you
us did
need.
any
No,
exercise,
you
really. Like,
started
I didn't
before I
start.
did, but yeah, I mean, I'm very late
Yeah,
to the party.
I started the Couch to 5K in August, and then I took a break kind of October through November time because I
Yeah,
started consulting. I had no time. Um, and then obviously Christmas happened. So the beginning of this month is when I think I probably elevated my fitness. I was like, right, I really want to commit to this year.
yeah,
If I could do what I've done in the last year,
it's
like it's
crazy.
that goal or it's that self-belief, it's that kind
Yeah,
of growing on each other. And I was like, but I want to see where I can go now in 2022. And now,
yeah,
like, I don't know about you, but as somebody that was nearly 20 stone this time next year,
yeah.
I sometimes look at myself in the mirror in the gym and I'm like, who is that girl?
Yeah, this
Like, who
was
is
not
she?
me a while ago. I've said this actually to a couple of people. I am not the same person that I was before, and you're not the same person you were before either.
Not
Like,
at
if you
all.
met me now, I feel like I was almost catfishing myself. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't the
Yeah,
person that I actually am. And I don't even think I even know who I am, if that makes any sense. I just don't like online dating profiles, not that you need one, but you know, talking to people and stuff, it's like I'm not the same person that I was before. So how do I come across like before my photos were of me when I looked better, and I was like, I'm not going to meet these people because I don't look. I'm catfishing myself. This is stupid. But now I'm like, do I know this new version of me? And it's again what I was saying, like your brain catching up with your body and this new transformation. It's mind blowing how much it can affect you in so many different ways in so many different aspects. But this new exercise journey that I'm on, it's only just beginning. I only joined the gym last Monday, Rachel. This is nuts, and I'm
I love it though. When I saw you coming out of the gym the other day, I was like, yes, girl, go on.
yeah,
Like, it is the best feeling. Like, you do. I know I can get quite like hyped on my stories in the morning, but it is. You
yeah,
come out of there with just such a like rush of like that is amazing. But like you said, that is a different part of our journeys. This is now us
it is.
going into and kind of morphing into this new life that we've created for ourselves.
Yeah, and
And sorry, no, go ahead, Libby.
I was just going to say, and it's also, figuring out what works for you as well. It could be classes, it could be aqua aerobics, it could be going to the gym, it could be going for a run, doing couch to 5K. There's so many different things you can do. But I was saying to my friend earlier who was having this dilemma, I was like, I would not be in the place I am now had I not found this plan first. I was one of those
100%.
people, and one of our slimmers asked us when she first started as well, like, should I go and join a gym when she first started? And I was like, don't do what I used to do. I used to do the nutrition, do the exercise, hit everything really hard, and then burn out completely, lose interest, lose focus. Focus on one thing at a time, stay goal oriented, follow the path that you want to. If it changes along the way, that's absolutely fine. But you've got to do what's right for you at this very time and like in this moment. And you're the driver of it. So it's whatever you want to achieve, you can do as long as you believe in yourself, and you'll look back and be so, so proud of yourself. Because like you did the other day when you, was it yesterday even? You got really emotional because you're like, I didn't realize how much my body could actually do. And it caught you off guard. And that's exactly
Oh
what's happening to
yeah.
me. And it's happening to slimmers all across the UK who are believing in this plan because you can.
Absolutely. Oh, girl, I can't believe it's been an hour.
Are you
It's
joking?
been
Oh my
amazing.
gosh,
And
yeah.
yeah, literally, it's been an hour. But I want to end with, I always like asking a different question,
Okay.
but I want to know what's Anna Louise's hopes for the next 6 to 12 months? You said that you always like to say, let the me of 3 months' time thank the me now.
Yeah.
What do you want to be able to look back on and see in these next 12 months?
That moderation is a key pillar in my life. That I can enjoy myself and also be able to rein it back in when I need to, whether it's exercise or nutrition. And just generally, where I want to be in a year is just still happy and proud in myself for, and look back and go, I'm so glad I did it when I did and I made the decisions I did. Yeah, I think it's just striving towards a better self, not to compare myself to others, just be the best version that I can possibly be, I think is what I would say.
I love that. And obviously taking over Instagram alongside Nat.
Oh, good Lord. I don't, yeah, I mean, thank you. I don't know how it's
Oh,
happened or what's happened, but the community has absolutely set me like forward, and I don't think I could do it without it. And people like yourself and Nat, and well, I could name them all. Gemma, everyone. I don't know.
it is an
So
amazing community, and we will all be powering forward this year,
we
like you
will.
said, to get to be the best versions of us. And then thank you so so much for being so open and candid and honest and inspiring
Oh,
to
thank
all of
you.
us this evening.
You're
Guys, if
welcome.
we didn't cover any questions that you had, please go to the video and leave it in the comments, and me and Anna will go in and answer them.
We
And
will.
this will be saved to the podcast, which will be live tomorrow. Anna, for now, thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you all very soon.
Sounds great.
Bye.
Thank